everybody. Good evening, and welcome to GH Gospel Radio, and welcome to Let's Talk Marriage. It's always exciting to be here to have this discussion with you, and I hope you are happy too. Before we proceed, I'll just like to take a quick minute to share the link, and then we'll talk. Tonight's topic is being the Joseph in your marriage. I intentionally chose that topic because I wanted everybody to be wondering, what is it about Joseph that we are supposed to know and to emulate in our marriages? And Joseph is in the Bible, and Joseph did a whole lot of things. So without guessing or without trying to find out what Joseph did, we will go right back into the Bible, read what he did, and then we can see exactly how we are supposed to be like Joseph in our marriage. So if you're waiting, if you want to text a friend to join us, do so, and we will be on in a second.
I'm watching the screen.
I know. Okay, so let's get right down to it. Being the Joseph in your marriage. What are we talking about? Before we can know what Joseph did, we need to actually read it for ourselves so that it wouldn't be like somebody read it and reported to us, right? So come along with me. Genesis 39, verse 7 to 11. We kept it very short. Okay, it's actually verse 7 to 12. Genesis 39, verse 7 to 12. I'm going to read it quickly. Now Joseph was well built and handsome. And after a while, his master's wife took notice of Joseph and said, "Come to bed with me." But he refused. "With me in charge," he told her, "my master does not concern himself with anything in the house. Everything he owns, he has entrusted to my care. No one is greater in this house than I am. My master has withheld nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. How then could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God?" And though she spoke to Joseph day after day, he refused to go to bed with her or even be with her. One day, he went into the house to attend to his duties. She caught him by his cloak and said, "Come to bed with me." But he left his cloak in her hand and ran out of the house. Amen. So this very thing that Joseph did, this is Joseph's master's wife, who has been calling Joseph all the time, wanting Joseph to be with her. But then Joseph decided that no, I'm not going to do this wicked thing against God. I'm just going to be the good person that I have been in this house and not sin against God. Okay, we got that out of the way. Good. So we just read the story, right? The story about how Joseph reacted to his master's wife. And what is very intriguing about Joseph is that even after saying all that his master had done, everything that his master had done for him and how good his master had been to him, he did not reflect on the fact that he was trying to protect his master or he was trying to look good in his master's eyes. What we see in the passage was that Joseph said, "I cannot sin against God." And that brings us to the first lesson. I realize that a lot of times the mistakes we make in marriage is because we forget that we are accountable to God Himself. So after making our marriage vows, after standing in church, after standing before God and saying all that we say before God and to God, when we walk out and reality hits us and life comes at us, our mindset is that whatever we are doing, we are either doing it for our partner, make is we should just continue. Sorry, guys, the internet just wanted to interrupt us, but hopefully we are back live so we can continue our discussion. Yes, we did read what Joseph did, and we saw that when Joseph was faced with breaking his promise, he did not see it as this is a promise to my wife or this is a promise to my husband. He saw it, this is, in Joseph's case, he didn't see it as it was a promise to Potiphar. He saw it as this is a promise to God. Whatever I'm doing, I'm not doing it against Potiphar, even though Potiphar was the one that was directly going to be affected. But he remembered that whatever I'm doing it against God. And I know that if we have that mindset, nobody, hello, Sister Vivian, it's so nice to see you. Welcome. If we have that mindset that whatever we are doing it against God, that would help us to put our mind in the right place. That would direct our actions very much. Your wife will never follow you around every day. Your husband can never follow you around every day. There'll be times that it is just you and whatever situation that you are faced. It may not be another man or another woman. It could just be taking a decision that you know that this decision that I'm taking is going to affect my wife in a bad way, or this decision that I'm taking is going to affect my husband in a bad way. Anytime you're doing anything in your marriage, remind yourself, just as Joseph reminded himself, that you're doing it against God. It is God that you're hurting because you took your marriage vows before God. Even if you did not go to church, for sure you prayed. And even if you did not pray, as a Christian, marriage is instituted by God. So as long as you're married, you know that you've made a covenant with God and your partner. So anytime you are faced with a scholarship, with an easy excuse to make a mistake, remember, remind yourself that it's not just your partner that you are hurting, or your partner that you are sinning against or offending, but you're doing it against God. If you can look in the face of God and go ahead and do whatever you're doing, then you know that, okay, whatever you are doing might be right, or you may be very, very courageous, so to speak. So we need to remember. You remember that Joseph was alone in Potiphar's house. There was nobody there. And it wasn't even Joseph's idea to go and woo Potiphar's wife. This was a clean scholarship. Potiphar's wife was begging Joseph, and she had been doing it over and over and over again. I know that for so many people, I know that for many of us, myself included, we could think about it in the fact that we'll say that this is a very serious situation. This is a very vulnerable situation. Joseph could have gone ahead and done whatever Potiphar's wife asked him to do. And then when he's done, he will blame everybody. He will say that it's not my fault. The woman was giving me too much pressure, or she has been pestering me for too long. Me too, I'm human. I don't know what came. I don't know what came upon me. Anybody in my situation will fall. These days, we make a lot of excuses. We know what we are doing is wrong, but we'll go ahead and do it. And when we finish, we'll blame the devil. And when we finish, we'll say that, oh, I'm human. Yeah, I'm vulnerable. Me too, I am weak. Joseph was human like you and me. So whatever the situation is that you are facing, remember that if Joseph did it, you can also do it. And also remember that what helped Joseph to do the right thing was that he put it in his mind that whatever I'm doing now, nobody is here. The woman is consenting. Everything is in the right place. It looks tempting. Joseph could have even said that this woman is a powerful woman. If I don't do what she wants, she could put me in trouble. And to be honest, she did put him in trouble. She did make Joseph taste pepper for not giving in to her demands. But Joseph did not look at punishment. He did not look at consequences. He was not thinking about, let me get myself out of trouble. His mindset was, I do not want to sin against God. I do not want to sin against God. It's interesting how you talk about, my master is good to me. My master has done everything for me. And then switch it, I cannot sin against God. One would expect that after talking about his master being so good, his mindset would be, oh, since my master is good, let me not sin against him. But no, it wasn't his master he was thinking about. He was thinking about God. Say, how can I be wicked and sin against God? So I want us to advise ourselves that in the face of temptation, in the face of being pushed to the wall to do something wrong, it could be about anything. It could be about hiding money. It could be about telling certain lies. It could be about doing some things that you know would affect your partner in a bad way. You know that will hurt your partner. Let's be strong instead of giving in to temptation and making excuses. If Joseph wanted to make an excuse, there were a million excuses that he could have made and gotten away with it. We need to remember, God is in the center of every marriage. And when we make mistakes and when we make excuses, we are not making excuses against our partners. We are also making excuses against God. And one thing that we should remember is that God is very much interested in our marriages. And on the last day, we are not going to be judged as husband and wife. Everybody is going to be judged by himself or herself. God is going to ask you about the things that you did in your marriage, but He will not be asking whether you did it because your husband did his part or because your wife did his part. He's going to ask you in particular what you did. Are you going to make excuses and say that, oh, because your husband made a mistake or because your wife made a mistake, you were also justified for doing what you did, or because your wife did what she was not supposed to do or she was not doing her part, you also did not do your part? Is going to be just you. Everything that you're doing in your marriage on the last day, only you will answer. Are you going to make excuses, or you are going to be like Joseph, that in the face of getting punished for not doing what Potiphar's wife did, he still insisted, he still went ahead and did what would please God, and not even what will please Potiphar's wife or what will please Potiphar. He did what would please God. Another lesson that we can learn from Joseph, another way that we can be like Joseph, is that we need to create boundaries. When we talk about creating boundaries, what do we mean? When we read the passage from Genesis 39, verse 7 to 12, it said that the woman kept pestering Joseph day after day, but he refused to give in to her demands and even to be with her. Joseph was doing everything in his power to make sure that he does not fall into Potiphar's wife's net. What did he do? He tried not to be with the woman because he knew what the woman was looking for. A lot of times we make mistakes in marriage because we see danger coming, but we just walk right into it. You've seen somebody, you know the person is interested in you, but you still give the person your number. You are having conversations with this person. You're going to lunch with this person. You're sitting around with this person. And in your mind, you're saying, oh, there's nothing going on. Oh, nothing will happen. If you are serious about doing the right thing, be like Joseph. Create boundaries. Joseph refused to even be with Potiphar's wife. He kept his eyes open. He made sure that where Potiphar's wife was, that was not where he was going to be, because he already knew what Potiphar's wife was. It's important that once we know what is right and once we have decided to do what is right, we also need to create boundaries. We also need to put measures in place that will help us stick to our decision. If Joseph had started spending time with the woman, having conversations with the woman, I'm sure it would get to a time that Potiphar's wife would not need to even invite him again. He himself will start desiring this woman and start falling for her. But because he knew what his goal was, that as for this woman, I am not going to sin against God by sleeping with her, he made boundaries. He refused even to be with her. It could also be about money. Your goal is, I don't want to waste the family's resources on personal things. I don't want to hide the family's money. The temptations are many, depending on who you are. You know the things that you do that affect your marriage negatively. And when you're about to do them, you know. When being tempted, you know. It's important that if you decided to remain true to your marriage, you should also create boundaries. If it is spending too much, leave your wallet at home when you're going out. When you don't have your wallet, how are you going to spend the money? If it's anything that it is, once you have decided this is not good for my marriage, create the boundaries. It's not going to happen by itself. It's not going to happen by magic. You need to take a step. You need to create the boundary that will help you to keep your word. Be like Joseph. Joseph didn't want to sleep with the woman, and because of that, he avoided the woman. Be the same way. Whatever it is that is a challenge in your marriage for you, whatever it is that you get tempted with so often, it is important that you make a plan, you draw a boundary so that you don't even start. Because once you play around with things, whatever it is that you're being tempted in, once you play around with it, you're already on your way to doing it, because it will not be long. You find yourself falling. The more you leave yourself ajar, the easier it is to give in to the temptation. So another way we can be like Joseph is to create boundaries. We said the first thing was know that whoever you're sinning against is not just your spouse, it's God. And in fact, he's the ultimate person you're sinning against. And then the second thing is, if you're serious about resisting temptation, you need to create boundaries. By leaving yourself ajar, you will definitely fall to the temptation. So create boundaries. Another lesson we can learn from Joseph, another reason that we can be like Joseph, is that we need to cultivate the attitude of doing the right thing when nobody is watching. This is extremely important. And this is something that is really close to my heart. A lot of times we see that our Christianity has become church Christianity. We are very Christian when we are inside church. But when we walk out of church, having people look at us and know that we are Christian is very hard. If we will tell the truth, most of the time, the places where that we are most unchristian is in our own home. Most of the time when we go outside of our houses, we are kind to people, especially when we go to church. We are kind to people. We are polite. We do the right thing. We are not short-tempered. We are kind. We are loving. We are gentle. But the minute that we enter into our own home, the Christianity becomes watered down. The Christianity flows out of the window. It's important that we are true Christians when we are at home, and especially when we are at home. Ask yourself, if somebody were to ask your husband if you are a good Christian, would your husband say yes? If somebody were to ask your wife if you are a good Christian, would your wife say yes? If somebody were to ask your children, are you a good Christian? Would your children give a good testimony about you? You can use that as your test transmission for Judgment Day. Those people who know you, those people that you spend the time with, your family, the people that you live with day in and day out, if they have not seen that gentle side of you, if they have not seen that godly side of you, if they have not seen that loving side of you, that patient kind, that side of you, then probably you're not a good Christian. Let your light shine, especially in your home, especially where you spend all your time, especially with the people who know you the most. Most of the time out in church, people see you, people know you, you have a great reputation, you're a nice person, you're a good person, you're a loving person. Let that translate inside your home where nobody can see you. And let that even be real when your family members are not even around, because the places where your family members are not around is in your head and in your heart. The things that you say inside your heart and inside your mind that nobody sees, that nobody's going to witness, do they do they show that you're a good Christian? It's time that we cultivate a pure spirit. It's time that we cultivate um, authentic lifestyles. Our Christianity should not be for show. Our Christianity should not only be on the outside. Even when it's you by yourself, your thoughts and the things that you say in your heart, are they Christian? Whatever we are reading in the Bible, whatever we are learning in the Bible, we need to allow the Holy Spirit to work it out in our lives. And the best place to practice is your own home and your own marriage. If you are a good forgiver, be the most forgiving inside your marriage, inside your home. If you're a kind person, be the kindest inside your marriage, inside your home. If you're a good Christian, if you are kind, let the kindness reflect at home, because home is the only place that you are most of the time. Home is a place where you let your guard down. Home is a place that you are the real you, and your partner is the one who sees it all, even before the children come in and long after the children have left. It is your partner who would know the real you. So please, we need, myself included, in fact, myself especially, we need to let our Christianity be true, and we need to let it shine, especially inside our homes. We need to stop letting our partners have the worst of us, thinking that, oh, nobody's seeing me in the house or nobody is watching, so I can let my guard down and be myself. And then when I walk out of my home, I behave right or I act right. These are the lessons that we are learning from Joseph. Joseph could have done whatever he wanted to do. Of course, Potiphar's wife may not have said anything about it. She would just continue using him until she was done. But Joseph knew that even as Potiphar is not here, God is still here. And whatever that I do today, it will not just be against man. It's more importantly going to be against God. So I'll let my actions speak. None of the servants were in the house with Joseph and Potiphar's wife. It's like they had the perfect opportunity to have done whatever they could do. But Joseph said, nope, this is who I am. I am a child of God and I cannot sin against God. So what did he do? He started running, even when nobody was watching. So I pray this passage inspired me a lot. I'm not trying to sit here saying I'm a perfect person. No, we are all just reminding ourselves that it's important that when we are faced with many temptations, in the way that marriage is tempting, we need to be like Joseph. We cannot make excuses and say that, oh, the forces coming against us was too much. Potiphar's wife is too powerful, so I gave in. And then later on, we make excuses. Me too, I'm human. Me too, I'm vulnerable. Hello, Mami Nikwe. It's been a while. Thank you so much for joining. Nice to see you. It's important that we don't tell ourselves that, oh, me too, I'm human. Me too, I'm vulnerable. We need to be like Joseph. We need to remember that whatever we are doing, wherever your partner is not, God is. And the first person that you're sinning against is not your partner, it's God. You sin against God first before you even sin against your partner. And the second thing is also that we are going to give accounts by ourselves individually before God in whatever we do in our marriages. So it's important that we keep that in mind and let that reflect. The third thing is that we should be Christians, especially in our own home, where we think nobody is seeing us, nobody is giving us a good report, nobody would care. That is where we should be the real Christians, because home is where our true characters come out. Home is where our true attitudes come out. So it's important that the first place that we show our true Christianity is in our own home. So these are the lessons that we learn from Joseph. As we are going forward, let's remind each other we are not in the marriage because of our partners alone. We chose our partners, right? But we are not married only for our partners. We are married also because of God. God is the reason that we do what we do. When it's hard to do your part because your partner is not doing their part, remember that the person you're sinning against is God and not your partner. So I hope these three lessons that we've learned from Joseph is going to go a long way. Hello, Mr. Binding. Oh, you made it. Nice to see you. So I hope that these three lessons that we learned from Joseph, we're going to let it keep inspiring us to be better in our marriage, because at the end of the day, God sees and God is the one we are accountable to. So until we meet again, God willing, next Sunday, 6 p.m. Central Time on GH Gospel Radio, let's not forget that it takes a good Christian to have a good Christian marriage. God bless you so much and have a blessed week. Bye bye.